Hey guys, Prowl1701 here, and today we're going to do a new type of video. I'm going to call it Knights of the Round Table. And this is going to be a potential series where it basically involves me commenting on some of your comments down in a certain video. Basically me reacting to some of your comments, because a lot of time in the comments y'all are reacting to what I say. This gives me a chance to react to what you are saying, and plus it's a nice chance to get you involved in the channel and bring you guys in more. One of the things I really like about the Face Off series is after I do my little bit where I talk, you know, I read the comments and kind of comment on those as I go. I really enjoy that. I think that's a great way to get y'all really involved, and I'm hoping y'all enjoy that. So we'll give this a shot in a couple videos, see what you guys think of it, see if you like it or not. There's a lot of comments, so I think these videos are going to tend to run a little long. But it'll give me a chance to kind of react to some of the choices y'all make, see how you agree with me, how you disagree with me. One of the things I like about Doctor Who is just the vastness of the opinions. Everybody has different opinions, which is great. I mean, it would suck if we all had the same opinions. I mean, what would be the point of having a conversation if we all agreed on everything? So it'll be neat to see some of my choices versus some of your choices. And plus, I think there's some nice spots for some good humorous little bits in there as well. So today we're going to be looking at one of the recent Armageddon videos, which is going to be, what if you had to give up one story from each season of classic Doctor Who? The aliens had landed, and they demanded you had to give up one story from each season of classic Doctor Who. Which one would you give up? So let's see what you had to say. Security Division says... That's a little better. Season 1, the Censorites. This comes up a lot. I have noticed this, that the Censorites gets mentioned a lot in these lists. I have never seen the Censorites, but I'm guessing it's not that great. Or maybe Season 1 of Classic Who is just one of those seasons that doesn't have a bad story. Maybe it's still a good story. I do remember somebody telling me once that the first episode was good, and then it kind of falls off from there. I mean, it's not one of the stories anyone has sent me yet, so maybe it's not that great. But I do notice it shows up a lot on this list. Season 2, The Web Planet. I've never seen The Web Planet, but it is infamous for its bad effects and stuff. I've heard lots of times just how... I've heard that it's an ambitious story, but the budget definitely was not there, and the effects just look terrible. Number 3 is The Massacre. Number 4, The Smugglers. Series 5, Fury from the Deep. I agree with that because the animation's terrible. Series 6, The Space Pirates, which I guess I can get. Series 7, The Ambassadors of Death, which I agree with. Series 8, The Claws of Axos, which is the one I expect to see the most on these lists, actually, because Claws of Axos is, I think, the least favorite of Series 8. That was the one I went with as well. It has some good things going on in it. I really like the FBI guy tracking down the Doctor, and I like Roger Delgado in it, how he's having to really improv in this one. You know, he hasn't had time to lay out his plans. He's really having to work on the fly. I like that, seeing him under pressure like that. But that's the one I expect to see on the list the most, because it's not that great. Season 9 is The Mutants. Season 10 is Frontier in Space. I like Frontier in Space, but I do think the ending is rushed because they wanted to tie it into Planet. And I do wish Delgado had gotten a better send-off, which it's not their fault. They didn't know he was going to pass away. But I wish he'd gotten a better send-off. Series 11 is The Monsters of Peladon. Series 12, Revenge of the Cybermen. Which I love Revenge of the Cybermen, most of you guys know that. But he's not saying that it's bad, he's just saying that it's his least favorite of Season 12, which, that's understandable. Season 13 is Planet of Evil. Now that one I don't get. To me, the correct answer to that should always be the Android Invasion. I think most of the time... Sinuses are really up today. Really up. I should have turned the air conditioning on before I started. I think most of the time when you ask this question, it's going to come down to either Planet of Evil or the Android Invasion, because Season 13 is just filled with classics. I mean, it is probably objectively the best season Doctor Who's ever done, classic or modern. It is just filled with masterpieces. But I feel like Planet of Evil is the better story. I think it should win out between the two just because of the jungle set alone. That jungle set is amazing. That is a piece of work. And I absolutely adore Planet of Evil's jungle set. And I think it should get the win just because of that, personally. 14, The Mask of Mandragora. 15 is Underworld. I like Underworld, although I've only watched it once. I do need to see it again. 16 is Power of Prowl. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I like to see. Season 17 is The Creature from the Pit. Season 18, The Leisure Hive. Completely agree. Season 19, Time Flight. I'll probably see that a lot. Season 20 is Terminus. I don't think Terminus is bad. I just think it's extremely forgettable. Although it is interesting watching the director attempt to see just how much of Sarah Sutton's clothes he can get off of her. Season 21 is The Twin Dilemma. I probably agree. It's really hard between it and Warrior's Gate, but I think I agree with Twin Dilemma. Season 22 is Time Lash. I've got to turn on the air conditioning. I'm about to die over here. Better. Season 22 went with Time Lash. That's another one I've noticed shows up a lot. Now, I have never seen Time Lash, but I've had people tell me I'm the lucky one for that. I have heard Time Lash is bad, like Colin's worst story bad, or worst story besides Twin Dilemma bad. I've heard it's really bad, especially the effects. I've heard the effects are really bad. When I watch the Season 22 box set, you know, when it finally comes out in 2037 apparently, I will be watching it with the enhanced effects. Season 24, Time and the Ronnie. Season 25, Silver Nemesis. And Season 26, they went with Ghost Life. Which Season 26, I think, is a hard one to pick, because I think all the stories are good in Season 26. So I think a lot of people have trouble choosing with that one. Blair Who says The Aztecs, though it's a great one. The Web Planet. Galaxy 4. It's not a bad story. I quite enjoyed it. Season 4, I can't pick one. It's all so good. You're dooming the world. But I get it. I love Season 4. Season 5, The Ice Warriors. Season 6, I'm going to cheat slightly and say Space Pirates, since I can't pick between the Invasion or the War Games to get rid of, which is fair. They're both good. Season 7, The Silurians. Season 8, Claws of Axos. That's my dude. Claws of Axos. Ooh. Season 9, Curse of Peladon. I like that one. Season 10, Planet of the Daleks. The same one I would pick. Season 11, I've only seen one story from this season, so I'll let it slide. Season 12, Revenge of the Cybermen, even though I still enjoy it. Fair enough. Season 13, Android Invasion, is still a great one in my opinion. My thoughts exactly. That is the one I picked, but it's still really good. Season 14, Mask of Mandragora, but not a bad story. Season 15, only seen Horror of Fang Rock, so I won't pick any. He hasn't seen any of 16. 17, went with Horns of Nymon. 18, Meglos. I like Meglos. I do. I wish it was an episode or two longer. 19, Time Flight. I have a feeling I'll be seeing a lot of Time Flight here. Season 20, only seen 5 Doctors, so I'll skip over it. Season 21, Warriors of the Deep. 22, I haven't seen much, so I won't pick. Season 23, The Mysterious Planet, which is my personal favorite of Season 23. I love Mysterious Planet. It has some really good incidental music. Season 24, Time and the Ronnie, but it's not bad in my opinion. I enjoy it. Season 25, The Happiness Patrol. The one story from McCoy I haven't seen. Season 26, I can't pick. It's too much, which is understandable. I love Season 26. Man, my sinuses are acting up. I'm like really burning up. Nettie Stark says, for 1, he went with Edge of Destruction. 2, he went with the Web Planet. 3, he went with the Gunfighters. You guys know how I feel about the Gunfighters. I'll stick with my Target novelization, which is way better. 4, the Underwater Menace, which I have not seen yet. I'm waiting for them to hopefully animate that. 5, the Ice Warriors. 6, the Crotons. I'm kind of surprised by that. I figured people would get rid of the Dominators over the Crotons. I actually like the Crotons. I think it's underrated. Season 7, he said, don't be ridiculous. It's okay. You can get rid of Ambassadors of Death. Season 8, the Claws of Axos. Season 9, The Time Monster. I have to agree, because The Time Monster is the one Pertwee story I've started to watch and couldn't finish. It was just awful. Season 10, Carnival of Monsters. That actually pops up a few times on the list, and I'm surprised, because I love Carnival of Monsters. I figure it's one of the gems of Classic Who. One of those ones that, you know, it doesn't get its praises sung like a lot of famous stories do, but it's just as good as a lot of those stories. I love Carnival of Monsters. 11, Invasion of the Dinosaurs. 12 and 13, he says, don't be ridiculous. We're talking about saving the world. The 14, he says, The Deadly Assassin. I like that because I I love parts of the Deadly Assassin, but I feel like it ruins the Time Lords. Like I love Bob Holmes. You guys know I love Bob Holmes, but I could strangle him over the Deadly Assassin, just because it ruins the Time Lords. They lose their godlike omnipotence and just become squabbling human politicians. They're basically space humans in this one, and I don't like that. Number 15, he went with Underworld. 16, The Stones of Blood. That's an odd one for me, because I like parts of Stone of Blood, and I hate parts of Stones of Blood. 17, he went with Nightmare of Eden. 18, he went with Warrior's Gate, which I love Warrior's Gate. I think it's really well realized on screen. 19, he went with Time Flight. Time Flight again. Season 20, he also went with Terminus. 21, Warriors of the Deep. 22, Revelation of the Daleks. I always thought that was one of Colin's popular ones. 23, he went with Mind Warp, which is the same one I picked. 24, he said, any of them, take your pick. What about Paradise Towers and Dragonfire? They're great. Wouldn't you want to keep those? Season 25, The Happiness Patrol, and Season 26, Survival. Not Art the Green Wolf says, I haven't seen all of the classic seasons, but here's my list. Season 1, The Censorites. Is there even a fight between Season 1 stories? Also, the fact you said Aztecs is a crown to historicals. I don't know. I like the Aztecs. I don't hate it. I just think it's overrated. Says, yeah, Censorites isn't the best, but not enough to drop from Season 1. It's not enough to drop Season 1 down from S tier to A tier, but still. And then he goes, Season 5. Okay, fun fact, I haven't seen Wheel in Space, but I've heard bad things about it. But he's going with Abominable Snowmen. Season 7, he said Ambassadors of Death. Season 12, Revenge of the Cybermen, because it's still the only story I don't have the will to finish. I don't get that. Revenge of the Cybermen is actually really good. It's pretty much the same plot as Earthshock, but it doesn't feel quite as epic as Earthshock. But it actually has a better subplot with what's going on down on the Vogan planet, which is a really good subplot. Season 15, he went with Underworld, because he actually likes Invasion of Time, despite Leela's subpar departure. Season 19, he says, much like Season 5, I've yet to actually finish it. I haven't seen Time Flight. But if I had to choose one, it would be Forward to Doomsday, because it's just fine at best. I love Forward to Doomsday. Forward to Doomsday, I do think, that's one where it seems like you either love it or you don't. I've seen people who like it, I've seen people who don't. I really enjoy it myself. Plus, it's one of the few stories where we get to see Davison use the sonic screwdriver, because he does lose it so early in his run in Season 19. So we actually get to see him use it some in that story, which I like. Season 21, he says Time Lash. We see Time Lash a lot. 24, he went with Banner and the Deltaman. I have to agree with that. He goes, while Paradise Towers is my least favorite of them, I'm willing to rewatch it to see why people like it. I love Paradise Towers. I've only watched it the one time, but I loved it. And yeah, I didn't really care for Banner and the Deltaman that much. 25, he went with Silver Nemesis. And 26... said I might go with Ghostlight, but on a different day, I might go with Battlefield. Paul Bailey, one of my fellow Who-tubers, says, for me, I have to say The Keys of Marinus, which is odd because that seems to be a popular one. Most people I know seem to like Keys of Marinus. I was actually sent a copy of that. I haven't gotten around to watching it yet. But that seems to be a popular story. 2, The Space Museum. 3, The Gunfighters, and you know I agree with that. 4, The Underwater Menace. 5, The Ice Warriors, you know I agree with that. I went with Fury just because the animation, but yeah, the Ice Warriors does plot along. It really should have been a 4-parter. 6 is The Dominators, which I agree with. 7, Ambassadors of Death. 8, Colony in Space. And wait, what? Colony in Space? Somebody actually went with Colony in Space? Now, most of you guys know, as well as I do, Colony in Space is amazing. It's a fantastic story, well deserving of its 6 parts, and great the way it incorporates the Master in halfway through the story, how he just kind of shows up out of the blue. Colony in Space is amazing, so it's odd to see this on this list, but I'm going to let it go. It's one list, and I'm sure we won't be seeing it again. Number 9 is The Mutants. 10, he went with Planet of the Daleks, which again I agree with. 11, Invasion of the Dinosaurs. We've seen Invasion of the Dinosaurs a couple times, which is odd. I haven't seen it, but I always hear the story is so good. I mean, I know about the effects, and the dinosaur effects are horrendously bad. But I hear the story makes up for it, so I'm surprised to see it on the list a couple times. But then again, he also had Colony on the list, and we know Colony's amazing. 12, he went with the Sultana Experiment, which is still good, but it was also my least favorite. 13, The Android Invasion, same. 14, The Mask of Mandragora. 15, Underworld. 16, The Androids of Terra. Androids of Terra is an interesting one for me, because the first time I watched it, I really liked it. It was one of my favorites of 16. The second time I watched it, I didn't really care for it. I didn't hate it, I just didn't really care for it. I didn't like the constant Romana getting rescued, getting kidnapped, getting rescued, getting kidnapped. She really is regulated to that damsel in distress role, which I don't like for Romana to be trapped in. And that really bothered me. 17, he went with Destiny of the Daleks. 18, The Leisure Hive, you know I agree. 19, Black Orchid, I can definitely see that as well. I am not a fan of Black Orchid. As much as I love the location work surviving, that looks good since it is true HD. 20, Arc of Infinity. I really like Arc of Infinity myself. I think it's an underrated story. 21, The Twin Dilemma. Agreed. 22, Time Lash. Oh, our good friend Time Lash. 24 is, he didn't put 23. Interesting. He forgot to put 23. 24 is Delta and the Bannerman. I agree. 25 is Silver Nemesis. 26, Battlefield. Which, again, the incidental music in Battlefield is terrible, but the rest of it's great. The Flyattractor said, this one would require me to go and sit at my DVDs while staring about it and trying to remember all the rules of this, which seem to change on a whim, it seems like. It depends on the video. To which me and Flyattractor get on well. I was like, I'm a whimsical guy. I enjoy making you put on your thinking cap. The interesting thing is, I don't think I ever got his answer to this list. Right before I started the video, I actually sent him a message saying, I don't think I ever got your list for this. So, yes, Flyattractor, at the time I'm recording this, I'm still waiting on your list for this. Put on the thinking cap. Bananas Are Good said, some of these were really tough, which of course was the point of the video. I like making you guys think. Number 1, oh look, it's our good friends the Censorites again. I feel like we're on a first name basis with them at this point, or at least we should be. Episode 2, or Season 2, they went with the Web Planet. 3 is the Gunfighters. I really enjoy seeing the Gunfighters show up on this list. 4 is the Macroterra. Now that one I don't get. I love the Macroterra. I think the story is good. I think it's one of the best animations. I really wish they would go back to Sun and Moon Studios and spend the money, because I don't think they have done an animation since the Macroterra that's been as polished as the Macroterra's animation. The characters have a fluidity in movement. The way they move is very fluid, and it's not nearly as choppy as some of the ones that have come afterwards, like Fury from the Deeps. Boy, was that a step back. That was a pole vault back. And plus, just, I enjoy the story. Even the recon of it I watched recently and reviewed, I really enjoyed. Season 5, they went with Fury of the Deep, but I'm sure if it existed in full, I wouldn't sacrifice it. Fair enough. Season 6, they went with the Crotons. Season 7, the Ambassadors of Death. Season 8, Colony in Space. We actually have a second person that put Colony in Space on here? Well, it's alright. I guess I can handle a second person putting Colony in Space on their list. Season 9, they went with Curse of Peladon, which, again, is a story I enjoy. I like Curse. I'm kind of surprised that people would put Curse instead of, like, Time Monster or Mutants on here. I've never seen the Mutants, but I know its reputation. Season 11, he went with Monsters of Peladon. 12, Ark in Space! Which, don't get me wrong, Season 12, they're all good. They're all good. But Ark in Space is, like, one of the masterpieces of the season. And one of the 2 stories that got me into Doctor Who. It's one of the 2 I have first memories of seeing. So that's kind of an odd choice to see on here. Season 13, Planet of Evil. That's a really odd way to spell Android Invasion, but okay. Season 14, The Deadly Assassin. And I've already talked about my issues with The Deadly Assassin and what it does to the Time Lords. Season 15 is Underworld. Season 16, Ribos Operation. Or Rebus? Robus? Whatever. I don't get that one, because that's one of my top 2 favorite stories for Season 16. Like, I figured... I mean, we all know this should be Power of Kroll on here. I think everyone knows how I feel about Power of Kroll, so y'all are just... I'm just going to assume y'all are trolling me. Because we know Power of Kroll should be on every list. Ribos Opera, I don't get that one. I love that story. It, and of course Pirate Planet, are easily 2 of my favorite Tom Bakers, not just in the Williams era, but period, to go back and rewatch. I enjoy... it even more than some of the Hinchcliffe stuff. It's a good story. 7 is Horns of Nymon. 18 is Leisure Hive. 19, it's our good buddy Time Flight again. 20 is Arc of Infinity. 21, Warriors of the Deep, which I'm not surprised to see a lot of. 22 is Time Lash. Boy, we might as well just etch Time Lash in stone for this list. 23 wrote the lot, so I guess he's counting it as one story, which is fair, because that's what it's technically counted as. 24, Time in the Ronnie. 25, Happiness Patrol. 26, Survival. I've seen Happiness Patrol show up on these a lot. It's the one McCoy story I haven't seen. Although I've had everybody tell me that I'm going to enjoy it, but it is showing up on this list a lot. Seed Hill Bruiser Music says, number 1, oh, it's the Censorites again. He says right here, episode 1 is quite spooky, but then it goes tediously downhill. Episode 2 is the Space Museum because I had to choose something. I love Season 2 so much, including this story. Season 3, he went with the Ark. I won't hold it against him. He said, I much prefer the Gunfighters, even though it's poor. Hartnell is a comedy genius in the Gunfighters. There's no Hartnell comedy in the Ark. No, the Ark just actually has a good story. And a really good twist that comes in the middle of the episode. I love the Ark. Number 4 is Evil of the Daleks. That's interesting. He said, I'd rather choose the Smugglers, but your rules. I find it. Yeah, because that's right, because it's completely missing. I got you. I find this a bit overly long and convoluted, but not an easy choice. I love Evil of the Daleks. But yeah, I guess it is kind of hard to choose. I mean, I chose 10th Planet, so I can't really throw stones. Number 5 is the Ice Warriors. Again, I don't hate it, but the science in it is stupid. Number 6, the Dominators. 5 episodes of tedium relieved only by the joy of Troughton, Hines, and Padbury. And I agree. The Dominators isn't great, but Troughton and the TARDIS crew do make it enjoyable. Troughton has some really fun moments in it. Really fun moments. 7, the Ambassadors of Death. He goes, yeah, you don't like this one either. I've actually mentioned I don't like Ambassadors of Death before. I wasn't sure if I'd ever brought it up. Number 8, Colony in Space. Huh. Colony in Space. As someone else said, like watching politically correct paint dry. That's got to be some exciting politically correct paint. It must be doing a striptease, because Colony in Space is great. I'm starting to think some of you are just doing that to troll me. You know Colony in Space is amazing. You just want to mess with me. We're going to go with that. Number 9 is the Mutants. 10 is Frontier in Space. It said Capture, Escape, Capture, Escape. Yep, fair. There's a lot of that. Monsters of Peladon is a poignant rehash of Curse of Peladon. Revenge of the Cybermen, because I had to choose something, but I still like it. The Cybermen are very emotional, which they are. Actually, pretty much for the remainder of their run in Classic Who they are. The Android Invasion, again, I like it, but it's not totally great, unlike the rest of the season. Fair. It is the weakest link in a season of really good stories. Mask of Mandragora, I never liked this one, and I remember the original transmission. I just don't like it. I actually enjoy Mask of Mandragora. I think the ending's a little too easy, but I do enjoy the story. It's got some good Tom Baker wit in it. Number 15 is Underworld. Never mind the poor FX. It's just a dull, one-dimensional story with no subplots. Boring. I like Underworld myself, but I've only watched it once. I need to watch it again. Armageddon Factor. Tedious 6 episodes entirely in studio. Oh dear, the money's run out at ends of season tap. I like Armageddon Factor. The guy playing the Shadow really hams it up too much, but other than that, I enjoy Armageddon Factor. I think it's a good season finale. Destiny of the Daleks. What a waste of time. I wouldn't go that far. Meglos. Not bad, but the least intelligent of a very intelligent season. Fair enough. It is an intelligent season. Oh, look. Time Flight again. Need I say anything? King's Demons. Yeah, it's pointless. Frontios. He said, Part 1 is all about getting an acid battery to the hospital. How is that relevant to the plot? Bad writing. I actually saw Frontios for the first time recently. I actually really enjoyed it. So it was nice seeing the Doctor actually get to be the Doctor. I enjoyed that. 22 is, oh, it's our buddy Timelash again. Everything about this is bad. Everything. It's just entirely bad. Worst Doctor Who story ever. Well, now, Series 11 would like to interject here. 23, The Mysterious Planet. I actually like this, but I had to choose something. It's not bad at all. So I'm guessing he really likes Season 23. 24, he said, Dragonfire. I actually really like this. I love Season 24. But 3 parts in studio with unconvincing fake ice is the only reason I chose it. Which is nice. I'm glad you actually enjoy Season 24. It's very underrated, and Dragonfire is great. Season 25 is Silver Nemesis. He says, again, I love this, but I had to choose something. And Battlefield, only because Ghosts Like Fenric and Survival are so amazingly good. Which is fair. I do think Battlefield is the weakest of a great season. Again, the incidental music. Although I think I went with Survival, but I do think Survival is a better story. Aaron Smith says, look at it this way. If the Gunfighters was missing and you read the Target novelization, then you would be much more disappointed by the fact it was missing. no matter which way you try to cut this argument, you'll only end up beating yourself up one way or another. Another good video. Keep up the good work. And I think I even acknowledge he's right. I wrote, you make a good point about that. And then I wrote, poor Colony in Space. It's so good and so many don't realize it. Oh yeah, because here's his list, actually. He went with the Sensorites. Again, the Sensorites shows up a lot. I'm guessing it's not... I don't know if it's a bad story or if it's just the worst story of Season 1. The Web Planet for 2, Gunfighters for 3, Macroterra for 4. Again, I love Macroterra. I can't figure out why it's on the list. The animation should help make up for it alone. Web of Fear, Crotons, Ambassadors of Death, Colony in Space. Colony in Space. I'm starting to think a lot of you have just never actually watched Colony in Space. Yes, that's what I'm going with. That's my headcanon for the list. Y'all have just never seen it. Time Monster, Frontier in Space. He says, I'll reserve judgment until I watch Monsters of Peladon, because it's the only one I haven't seen, and I like the rest. 12, he went with Revenge of the Cybermen. And then 13, he went with Brain of Morbius. I think that's the first time we've seen Brain of Morbius show up. Interesting, because again, usually it's going to be between Planet of Evil or Android Invasion on which one's the worst of that season. Occasionally I see Terror of the Zygon, so it's interesting to see Brain of Morbius show up. Of course I don't agree, I love Brain of Morbius. But again, they're all so good in this season. It's such a good season. So it is interesting to see a different one show up. 14 is Mask of Mandragora. 15 is Invisible Enemy, which I think is the first time I've seen that one. And I can't really comment because this is the one Tom Baker story I haven't seen. Although I do hear mixed things about it. 16 he says he hasn't seen any of. 17 he went with Nymon. 18 with Leisure Hive. 19 with Time Flight. We might as well etch that one in stone too. Season 20 he went with King's Demons, which I've never seen. 21 Twin Dilemma. 22, this is interesting. He went with Two Doctors. Which, don't get me wrong, Two Doctors is probably my least favorite multi-doctor story. But there's no way I could give it up to Aliens. It's got Troughton, and I love Troughton. And it's watchable because Troughton and Fraser Hines are both great in it. And I actually love how well the Sixth Doctor and Jamie get on when they're together. That's actually really well done. He went with Ultimate Foe for 23, and I think that's the first time we've seen that one. Time in the Ronnie for 24, Happiness Patrol for 25. Again, I'm seeing Happiness Patrol a surprising amount. I figured I'd see, like, Silver Nemesis more. I don't think I've seen Greatest Show in the Galaxy once, and that's disappointing me because it's so overrated. And Survival is 26. Let's see. Kayako, one of my regulars, actually had another good It's Armageddon idea that I think I'm going to do a modified version of. I'm not going to quite do what he suggested here, but he did give me an idea for a video to do that I'll probably be doing soon on the It's Armageddon, which when I do, I'll acknowledge. Michael Webster, who not only is one of my subscribers, was my very first patron as well, which I will always be grateful for. Says, nice twist on the usual Armageddon format. The 26 seasons to consider, I may be gone for some time. He had to get back later with me. So he went with, for the 60s, he went with the Sensorites. Planet of the Giants. I'm going to have to give you my stern look. You know I love Planet of the Giants. But I am getting the impression Season 2 is just really good. Like, I've heard a lot of people tell me Season 2 is Hartnell's best or their favorite. So I'm getting the impression Season 2 is just really, really good. Because I absolutely adore Planet of the Giants. Season 3 went with the Gunfighters. Understandable. Season 4, the Underwater Menace. Season 5, the Ice Warriors. And Season 6, the Dominators. And then, because he did his post separately for the decades. For the 70s, he says, for Season 7, he says, none really, but Ambassadors because it's too long. Which, again, is my main complaint. I love the story for Ambassadors of Death. I like the fact they're friendly aliens. It's a great twist. My only complaint is that it's too long. It would have made a good 4 or 5-parter, but at 7 parts, it's too long. I get bored. Number 8, he went with the Claws of Axos. You know I agree. Then the Time Monster, and then Frontier in Space, Monsters of Peladon, Sultaran Experiment, the Android Invasion, the right choice. The Hand of Fear. It's interesting, we don't see that one a lot, though I can agree with it because I think the first 3 episodes of Hand of Fear are really solid and great, but I think the 4th episode kind of falls apart. The goodbye between the Doctor and Sarah is still really good, partially because Elizabeth and Tom wrote it themselves, but the rest of the episode just feels really sloppy. I don't think it holds up. The Invisible Enemy for 15, Power of Kroll for 16. Yes! We need to see more Power of Kroll on these lists. Creature from the Pit and the Leisure Hive. And then for the 80s, he went with Kenda, which was my choice. I don't understand why so many people like Kenda. I think it's awful. And then for season 21, he went with Snake Dance, which I've never seen, but I'm not looking forward to watching. And then for 21, actually, he went with The Awakening. 22, Time Lash. We really see Time Lash a lot. Mind Warp, Time and the Ronnie, Silver Nemesis, and Ghostlight. Let's see. Charlie actually said, Season 1, The Censorites. Man, that's like pretty much the only answer I'm getting from Season 1 is The Censorites. 2, he went with The Web Planet. 3, The Gunfighters. And with 4, he went with The Macatura. I mean, Giant Crabs. Seriously, it's not a bad story, but man, is it silly. I think the animation did a good job of with the liberties it took at making it scary in places. And the incidental music for it's actually really good. Season 5, he went with The Ice Warriors. That's been a choice we've seen a lot on this list. 6, The Dominators. 7, The Ambassadors of Death. Number 8 is Colony in Space, which I'm sure what he meant to type was the Claws of Axos, but when he typed the C, autocorrect switched it to Colony in Space. We're going to go with that, because we know Colony in Space is great. I have not seen the Daemons pop on a list yet, and I am disappointed because the Daemons needs to be popping up on a list here somewhere. Although it is way better than Claws of Axos, to be fair. The Mutants for Season 9. Season 10, Carnival of Monsters, which again I don't get. I love Carnival of Monsters. 11 is Monsters of Peladon. 12, Revenge of the Cybermen. 13, he says Planet of Evil. He says gorgeous sets by 70s standards, but a dull story with a cool antimatter concept executed a bit poorly. I actually think the story is really good. I enjoy the story. But I like him acknowledging the sets looked really good, especially that jungle set. 14, The Mask of Mandragora, one of the most forgettable stories out there. Said Season 15, The Sunmakers. I like The Sunmakers myself. He said, what does the title even mean when the villain of the Collector's plan is to tax people to death? Plus it is dull and I don't understand how it's Louise Jameson's favorite. But fair enough as it's her opinion. It's called The Sunmakers because of the artificial suns. They're on Pluto and there's actually artificial made suns that create the sunlight for it. Season 16, The Pirate Planet. Fuck. What? Obviously, he has this confused with the It's Armageddon. What if you could only save one story from each season of Doctor Who? Which one would you save list that we did recently as well? Because, of course, that one goes on that list. Of course, Pirate Planet is my personal favorite of Season 16. I love Douglas Adams' humor and his writing style. And I think him and the 4th Doctor, Tom Baker, are just a perfect match for each other. Although I guess some people just, I guess some people might find Douglas's humor a little too silly. But yeah, I wish he'd given me an explanation for why he went with Pirate Planet, because I don't see how it's the worst of Season 16. We're talking about a season that has Power of Kroll in it, so I don't get that. Season 17, The Horns of Nimon. Of course, I'm playfully criticizing. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. The Horns of Nimon. Season 18, he went with Meglos. He said at least the first 10 or 15 minutes, I can't remember how long, of the Leisure Hive was filmed quite near me by car, depending on traffic. So I get that. You have that personal connection. I enjoy Meglos. Season 19 is Time Flight, which we've seen a lot. Season 20 is Terminus, which has popped up quite a bit. Season 21, The Twin Dilemma. He said Attack of the Cybermen should have been Colin's first story, not this one. Season 26, he says Time Lash. This choice can go die in a hole for all I care. Man, I have a feeling when I go into Time Lash, I'm going to have to just really go in with low expectations and definitely make sure I turn on the updated effects. 23, he went with Mind Warp. 24, he went with Paradise Towers. Love Paradise Towers. 25, The Happiness Patrol. Again, I'm seeing that a lot. It's concerning me. 26, Ghostlight. And he says, also because I missed when the video first went up, I thought I would do my keeping list as well. These are the stories he would keep. The Daleks, the Dalek Invasion of Earth, the War Machines, the Power of the Daleks, the Enemy of the World, the War Games, Inferno, the Mind of Evil, the Sea Devils, the Green Death, Time Warrior, Genesis of the Daleks, Seeds of Doom, the Deadly Assassin. That should have been on your get rid of list. Horror of Fang Rock, the Androids of Terror, and we know that the one should have been on that list was the Pirate Planet. I'm guessing you just got your list mixed up there. It's cool. City of Death, the Keeper of Traken, Earthshock, the 5 Doctors, Resurrection of the Daleks, Attack of the Cybermen, The Ultimate Foe, Dragonfire, Remembrance, and The Curse of Fenric. I do consider Curse of Fenric to be the quintessential McCoy story. I think it's a little overrated, but the quintessential McCoy story. And then Nakayako, one of my regulars, said for Series 1, the ones he would get rid of, the Censorites. Man, I think that's the only answer we're getting for Season 1. This is like a unanimous decision. Season 2 is the Web Planet. Wow. Still going. Season 2 is the Web Planet. Season 3 is Galaxy 4. Season 4 is the Underwater Menace. Season 5, he went with the Ice Warriors. Season 6, the Space Pirates. I think that's cheating. I don't think we're supposed to be allowed recons in that one. Season 7 was the Ambassadors of Death. Season 8, the Claws of Axos. It's nice to see someone agree with me about Claws of Axos. Well, several of you have, which I appreciate. 9 is the Mutants. 10, Planet of the Daleks. 11, Death to the Daleks. That might be the first time I've seen Death to the Daleks on the list. And you guys know I actually really love Death to the Daleks. I think it's underrated. First time I think I've seen that one. Revenge of the Cybermen. The Android Invasion. The Hand of Fear. Underworld, The Power of Prowl, The Horns of Nymon, The Leisure Hive, Kenda. It's so nice to see other people agree with me about Kenda. And The Power of Prowl, of course. The King's Demon, The Twin Dilemma, Time Lash. Time Lash, man. I do not have high hopes for the Censorites or Time Lash after reading these. Mind Warp, Time and the Ronnie, Silver Nemesis, and Battlefield. And again, I think Battlefield's good. Just the incidental music's bad. I love McCoy's speech in it. Hudson Media went with Season 1, Censorites. Season 2, The Web Planet. Season 3, Galaxy 4. I enjoy Galaxy 4. Season 4, he went with the Faceless Ones. I think it's the first time we've seen the Faceless Ones. Though I can understand it. I like the Faceless Ones, but it took time to grow on me. It's definitely not the best. Season 5, The Ice Warriors. Season 6, The Dominators. Season 7, he went with Inferno. And then he put a couple frowny faces by it too, because I think he knew my reaction was going to be, what? Which it was. And then he followed it up with Season 8, putting Colony in Space. I'm just going to assume someone hasn't seen the Pertwee era. Number 9, The Time Monster. Okay, he's seen Season 9. Number 10, Carnival of Monsters, but not Season 10. And number 11, Death to the Daleks, or Series 11. So he's seen Season 9. 12, The Sontaran Experiments. 13, I Can't Decide. I love them all. Which I get. I do. Again, I think 13 is the objective best season. Season 14 is The Hand of Fear. 15 is Underworld. 16, The Androids of Terra. I need to rewatch The Androids of Terra. Since I loved it the first time, didn't care for it the second. I'm curious what I'll think of it the third time I watch it. 17, The Horns of Nymon. 18, Meglos. 19, Four to Doomsday. It's interesting that some people consider Four to Doomsday worse than Time Flight. Of course, to be fair, I consider Time Flight better than Black Orchid and Kenda. 20 went with Terminus. 21, Planet of Fire. I think that's the first time I've seen Planet of Fire on the list, which I've never seen Planet of Fire, either version, the original or the updated version. So I can't really speak to it, but I was thinking it has a pretty good reputation. It's interesting to see that on the list. 22, we're back to Time Lash. 23 is Mind Warp. 24 is Delta and the Bannerman, which is the one I went with as well. 25 is Silver Nemesis, and 26 is Survival. Of course, naturally, I was like, Inferno, and then sputters incoherently, and he laughed about it. He goes, I knew that would get hate, but I love Spearheads, Silurians, and Bastards. I have a weird soft spot for. And so I only saw Inferno once, and I knew a lot about it before going in, so I felt like it was a slog on that basis. But I need to rewatch it when the collection set comes. Yes, you need to rewatch it. Everyone should rewatch Inferno all the time. It's amazing. I'm always ready to rewatch Inferno like a week after I finish Inferno. Inferno's amazing. Yes. Passed Up Presents, which is, I don't think that's the actual name. Let's go with that. Actually has an interesting one here. For Season 1, he put the Aztecs. It's nice to switch it up a little bit. The Aztecs, the Web Planet, the Gunfighters, the Moon Base. We have to keep the Moon Base. The Moon Base is easily my favorite Troughton Cyberman story. And one of my favorite Cyberman stories. I love the Moon Base. Troughton, I think that's Troughton's best performance as the Doctor. I love him in it. For Season 5, he went with the Web of Fear. A bold choice. I like that. Because I also, while I like the Web of Fear, I think it's overrated. 6, he went with the Crotons. 7, Ambassadors of Death. 8, Colony and... Okay. I'm seeing Colony and Space on too many lists. I'm starting to think that someone is wrong about their opinion of Colony in Space. And by someone, of course, I mean y'all, because I know Colony in Space is amazing. So obviously, y'all have to be in the wrong on this. He went with the Mutants for 9, Planet of the Daleks for 10, Death to the Daleks for 11. It's weird because we didn't see Death to the Daleks for a lot, and I've seen it pop up on like 3 lists in a row, so that's interesting. 12, he went with Robot, which is the first time I think I've seen Robot for Series 12 too, and you guys know how much I love Robot. It is my favorite post-regeneration story. I love that one. So I definitely can't agree with that. 13, he went with Planet of Evil. 14, he went with The Face of Evil, which might be the first time we've seen that one as well on a list. I love The Face of Evil. I actually think The Face of Evil is better than Robots of Death, even though I know that's an unpopular opinion. I think it's a great introduction for Leela. I have a couple quibbles with it, like the people who live in the mountain have some really goofy looking costume. But other than that, I think it's a really solid story. The Invasion of Time for 15, I agree with that. 16, The Power of Prowl, you know I agree with that. 17, The Nightmare of Eden. 17 really is hard to pick, because I like every story that season. I don't even remember which one I did pick. Probably Nightmare of Eden, because I love that speech in A Creature from the Pit too much to get rid of it. 18 is Warrior's Gate. I don't know if I could do that. I love Warrior's Gate. 19 is Kenda. I can do that. 20 is Arc of Infinity. 21, Twin Dilemma. 22, Time Lash. Man, Time Lash almost across the board. 23, Terror of the Vervoids. I like Terror of the Vervoids. We haven't seen that one a lot on the list. I enjoy Terror of the Vervoids. Aside from the very unfortunate face mask design, which is just kind of one of those things, once you see it, you can't unsee it. But other than that, I think it's a very solid story, even though there are a couple pointless deaths, like the female professor and her death's just pointless. Other than that, it's really good. Time in the Ronnie for 24, Happiness Patrol for 25. I'm seeing Happiness Patrol a lot. And Ghost Light for 26. Oh, man. Lance, another one of my regulars, says, The Sensorites. Again. The Web Planet, the Gunfighters, the Faceless Ones. Oh, we see the Faceless Ones again. Fury from the Deep. I still think a lot of that's probably because of the animation. The animation is terrible. The Dominators, the Ambassadors of Death. I'm so proud I've seen Ambassadors of Death on this list as much as I have. Colony in Space, and I take that right back. That compliment right back. The Mutants, Planet of the Daleks, the Monsters of Peladon, the Sultan Experiment, the Android Invasion. The right choice for Season 13, in my opinion. The Mask of Mandragora, Underworld, the Power of Prowl. The Horns of Nimon, Meglos Kinda. Snake Dance. I have a feeling I'm not going to like that one. The Twin Dilemma, Time Lash, Mind Warp, Dragonfire. Silver Nemesis, and Survival because it ended Doctor Who. And then Narrowscope, another one of my regulars. He said The Edge of Destruction, which we haven't seen on the list as much. I'm not a big fan of The Edge of Destruction, but I do love the ending of it a lot. It's the first time we really, I think, see Hartnell being kind and tender. The Romans. Interesting. I think this is the first time we've seen the Romans on the list. I haven't watched the Romans. That's actually the next one I'm probably going to watch since I just finished The Rescue. The Gunfighters, the 10th Planet. It's nice to see someone agree with me about 10th Planet, because I think I had 10th Planet on my list, so it's nice to see someone else pick 10th Planet. Fury from the Deep, the Mine Robber. See, I don't get that. I love the Mine Robber, and I know it's usually pretty well thought of. Matter of fact, I think that's the first time we've seen the Mine Robber on this list, or in the comments, because I think the Mine Robber has a really good reputation. I love it. I think it's quintessential Doctor Who. It's Doctor Who being Doctor Who. 7, he went with Spearhead from Space. That is also unusual. I never really see anyone pick Spearhead, because most people love Spearhead. It's great. But then again, maybe he just likes every story from that season. Claws of Axos for 8. Time Monster for 9. Frontier in Space. Monsters of Peladon. Sultan Experiment. Planet of Evil. Mask of Mandragora, The Invisible Enemy. So we've seen Invisible Enemy a couple times. I am looking forward to seeing that. I do hear mixed things about it. Stones of Blood. Interesting to see that. We haven't seen that one a lot. Shada. I think that's the first time we've seen Shada on here, so that's interesting. Keeper of Traken. We haven't seen that one much either. Kinda, King's Demons, Planet of Fire, 2 Doctors, Mind Warp, Delta and the Bannerman, Silver Nemesis, and Ghostlight. Some ones we don't see too much, like Planet of Fire and Two Doctors on his list. Interesting. Now, Robert Stevens, who's also one of my regular subscribers, and has also sent me several things, which I appreciate, says, as a Troughton fan, I think I'll just choose, but which one? He goes, not according to your idea. He goes, let me think. He goes, Underwater Menace and the Dominators, and sorry, I don't know. I said, the Ice Warriors, you say. He goes, no! I go, you're right. Fury from the Deep, terrible animation. He goes, no, I can't do it. I love the story. So that was a fun little banter. I said, so you doom the world by not giving them a Season 5 episode? Well, not that the Earth isn't doing a bad job of dooming all on its own. And he goes, haha, I'll have to think about it. And I said, he goes, okay, I'll go for Enemy of the World. And I said, fair enough, which I think Enemy of the World, while being good, is overrated as well. Although it is good, and Troughton's performance is amazing in both roles, especially when he's impersonating the other person. Like when he's the Doctor impersonating Salamander, when he's Salamander impersonating. The little nuances in all of that is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. But I still think it's overrated. Okay. Whew. Man, this is getting long, isn't it? For Shamrock Particle, the Reign of Terror. Too many Chibnall stories aren't as comatose, oddly, and I 100% disagree. I love the Reign of Terror. It's one of my favorite Hartnell stories. It's one of the reasons I like historicals. I enjoy Hartnell's mouth getting him into trouble, and that's what makes him have to work in the little dig sites, because he smarted off to the guy. And I love the fact when he hits him with the shovel later, because you just know the first Doctor enjoyed that. Plus, the episode 1 cliffhanger is just phenomenal with the house on fire. That is phenomenal. So, completely disagree there. The Chase. I have not seen that. He went with Celestial Toymaker for 3. We can't nix the Highlanders because of Jamie. And he says episode 2 of Underwater Menace is good. So, he picks to get rid of the moon base. You know I love the moon base. For 5, he said the enemy of... Just kidding. The Abominable Snowman was a snoozer, though Web of Fear became repetitive after part 1. He would go with Space Pirates for 6. He goes, even Dominators has a point to it. And he likes watching the Quarks fry their victims into briskets. That's also worth saving. So he says Space Pirates. 7, he says Ambassadors. Good at the time, but has dated the worst. 8, he went with Mind of Fear, which I'm pretty sure he meant Mind of Evil. Which is odd, because that's my favorite of Season 8. I love Mind of Evil. 9 is the Mutants, or Daemons, or Peladon, which the Daemons, of course, were actually Season 8, but it's nice to at least see it on the list. 10 is the only cringy one is the Green Death. 11 is Death to the Daleks, hard choice, especially as Monster of Peladon. Despite being a rehash, comes off better and less ropey. 12, he went with Revenge of the Cybermen. 13, the Android Invasion. 14, the Deadly Assassin, or Talons. Talons? You Talons. You know better. We know Talons is amazing. Probably Tom's best season finale, but I'll agree on Deadly Assassin. Invasion of Time for 15, which I agree with. Androids of Tara for 16. And if Power of Prowl wasn't in that season, there's a good chance I would vote for that one as well. Horns of Nymon for 17. 18, he says, Lycopolis is the least effective for me, despite the middle parts being great. Black Orchid for 19, he says, the wet squib of the season. King's Demon, he says, is underwhelming. Warriors of the Dirt, the other stories are better. And Warriors of the Deep had potential. He goes, 22, he goes, sigh. If I must then, Time Lash goes. And that one is a hoot to watch for Darrow and Sock Puppet Bandrill alone. I haven't seen it, so I don't get that. But apparently he finds it amusing. 23 is The Mysterious Planet, which of course is my favorite from the season. 24, he goes with Delta and the Bannerman. And then he goes into, I just talked myself into removing Dragonfire instead because he said the story has McCoy and Henderson trying to raise the story from too much camp excess, made camp to hide the gritty material. Yeah, okay. 25, he went with Silver Nemesis. And 26, Ghostlight. Said it needed 6 episodes and a director to get the actors to understand the material. And let's see. And then the last one, ooh, we're at the last one. Boy, this is long. The last one, Steven went with Marco Polo, which, again, I think that violates the rules of what we actually had. I think we had to use surviving episodes. But Marco Polo. 2, he went with the Crusade, which probably because part of it's missing. 3, he went with the Ark. Why the Ark? The Ark is great. It's phenomenal. I love the Mongoloids or whatever they're called. I think it's a great creature design for Classic Who. For 4, he went with Evil of the Daleks and then put sorry in parentheses. He knows I love Evil of the Daleks. It's fair, man. Hey, it's your choice. If you're saving the planet. 5, he went with Fury from the Deep. Don't worry, you've made up with it for that, because you know I hate Fury from the Deep. 6, Space Pirates. 7, Ambassadors. 8, Colony in Space, and you're back in the hole again. 9, Curse of Peladon. 10, Death to the Daleks. You're digging the hole. 11, Invasion of the Dinosaurs. It's interesting, I've seen Invasion of the Dinosaurs on several of these. When I actually thought, effects aside, that one's usually held in pretty good light. 12, Robot. 13, Terror of the Zygons. I think that's the first time we've seen Terror of the Zygons on this list. Which I like Terror of the Zygons. I think it's a little overrated. I don't think it's quite masterpiece territory like some people think it is, but it's knocking on the door. So it is interesting to at least see it on one list. 14 is the Mask of Mandragora. 15 is Underworld. 16 is Pirate Planet? Thomas. What are we going to do with you? Season 17, City of Death. The one you would give away is the best story of the City of Death? Okay, I think you have dug that hole to China at this point. You have come out of the hole in China at this point. You are digging into the air in China. City of Death. I don't get the logic on City of Death. You're going to have to explain that one to me. 18, The Leisure Hive. 19, For the Doomsday, which, of course, as I said, I enjoy. 20, Terminus. 21, Warriors of the Deep. 22, Time Lash. Woo, Time Lash. 23, Mysterious Planet. 24, Delta and the Bannerman, even though I love it. 25, Happiness Patrol. And 26, Ghostlight. And then when he said, oh, he did go back and correct it. Originally, when he wrote Space Pirates, it was, he wrote Space Parrots. And Nick Kayako was like, Space Parrots? And then I was like, it's okay, he corrected it. It now reads Space Parents. Because when he corrected it, it was Space Parent. So we were picking at him. And then I was like, Pirate Planet, what? I'm surprised I wasn't like City of Death one. I must have overlooked that the first time. And he goes, a troll, let him walk the plank. And I'm sitting there going, Moons of Madness? Moons of Madness, Mr. Fibuli. And then he was talking about Pirate Planet. Thomas was talking about, yeah, I'm not a fan much. And I was like, well, nobody's perfect. And then he was picking at me about not mocking his terrible spelling. And I was like, hey, man, if you like eating space peaches, that's on you. I don't mind. I don't judge. So we had a nice little fun picking at each other in the comments. You know, most of you guys I get on with pretty well. I think I have pretty good rapport with y'all. Y'all know my personality pretty well. I've got a handle on y'all's personality pretty well. So I think we can rib each other. So that is me reacting to some of that. Wow, Sense Rights was on there a lot. And the Time Lash was on there a lot. Time Flight was on there a lot at the beginning, but I didn't see it as much later on, as much as I thought I would. But there were several. Ambassadors of Death was on there a lot. That pleased me. So that has been me reacting to your comments, playfully in most places. I'm feeling humorous today. So I would like to know what you think of this, or whether this is way too long, and maybe I should just do certain ones. But I'd like to know your thoughts on the Knights of the Round Table series, if this is something you would be interested in seeing me do more of, or if it's just way too long. So comment down below and let me know what you think of this. I do enjoy videos that get you guys involved in it. Other things to do, click the like button, click the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications so you never miss out on another video. I also have a Patreon. There's a link to that down in the description below, as is my link to my Amazon wish list as well, which I update regularly. My P.O. box is also down there if there's anything you would like to send me. Most importantly, though, thank you for watching.